Let's go to Ohio as we go back to our telephones and get many calls as we can here before the hour is over. Dan has called us from the Buckeye State. Dan, welcome.
Good evening, gentlemen. My question is, will the AGROTAIN slow down the release of the nitrogen enough to affect the rate at which the plant might absorb it?
Dan, that is an interesting question because as we look at nitrogen uptake and as we look at the forms in which nitrogen are available to that plant within the soil, basically when you start putting on like Super U or we look at AGROTAIN Plus, basically it holds that form of nitrogen so it doesn't enter into the nitrate or ammonium pools in the soil that the plant is taking up. So what it really does is kind of hold that in a different type of reservoir and then converts it over slowly. So in reality, we have put a governor on that rate of nitrogen uptake to the plant, more than just what the plant takes up at times, but makes that pool available as a bigger pool later when the plant really has a high nitrogen demand, particularly in the grain filling period.
Mother Nature, if you will, or the plant knows when it needs what it needs.
Well, you think about this growing plant. You think, and again, I'll talk about corn or wheat or some of the grain crops, is that when we go from, during the vegetative period, it takes little nitrogen to grow that. But when we start putting that grain on there, you got a high demand for nitrogen. And so as we put that high demand for nitrogen on there, then you really has an insatiable appetite. And as we look at some of the modern hybrids, if they don't have the nitrogen available within the soil, they'll scavenge that nitrogen out of every plant part, out of the stalk, out of the lower leaves, to be able to cannibalize that nitrogen to put it back into the ear.
That's interesting. Wow, you learn more every hour that we're here, every minute that we're here during the hour. Thank you. That's great. Let's go to Texas and we'll see what's on Jim's mind tonight. Jim, thank you for calling.
Yes, sir.
Your question.
This first year we've been introduced to the AGROTAIN. We're in sandy soil. We plant rye. It's mainly for grazing during the winter time. And put it on there to keep it from leaching out, but fortunately for us, we got a rain the next day of about 1 inch. So I was just wondering what benefit we can get from this even after it has rained and put the fertilizer into the ground. It's granulated fertilizer.
Well, to answer your question, if you had an immediate rain, the value in the AGROTAIN component would be diminished, there's no doubt. Now, it's going to maintain its effect for a couple weeks in the soil, so it will have a minimal effect. But, yeah, if you get the instant rain behind the application of the AGROTAIN, if you'd have known that before, you might not have used the AGROTAIN, but, you can't predict these rains these days, so.
In the sandy soil, another example, Jerry, the soil type different for him, of course, in Texas than it is in your plots in Ames, Iowa.
But in fact, even what we've seen is where we've had rains immediately after application is that we just see a benefit from the AGROTAIN later in the season. So it's
that reservoir
of nitrogen within the soil remains there, and it's
even in the sandy soil.
And even in the sandy soil, we'll still slow it down. So you won't see near the benefit had it been dry, but they'll still see a measurable benefit.
All right, let's go to Iowa. Mike has called us. Mike, thank you.
Yes, how are you doing today?
We're just fine. Thanks for the call.
Hey, I'd like to apply 4-8-28% with my planter for corn. How is this product going to help me, and how far should I put it away from the row?
How much 28 were you talking about?
Well, I'm not sure what I need to put on. 120, 130 pounds.
Okay, you're going to try to put
this would be after beans.
Okay. All right. Well, AGROTAIN Plus would probably be my recommendation in that application to put it in, and you would probably want to put it at least a 2x2 like you would normally to get it away from the seed far enough so that you don't get any germination issues. But it would be a major help, and I've had a number of growers doing that with their nitrogen.
Jerry, agree?
Yeah. That's, yes, I agree.
We don't want any fights out here now.
No, you can easily put that on it. And in fact, if you were going to put on that much near the plant row at a 2x2, definitely an AGROTAIN Plus would stabilize that. Again, hold it so it remains in that, and then it will slowly move down to that profile. And as the roots intercept that, it basically is just continually feeding that root system during the year.